Man, it's Brad with College SportsCast, and we are presented by the Fanboys.
Oh, yes. It's not going to take that long for Mr. Brad to come on. And there it is in 5, 4, 3, 2, and
I'm
1.
already here. What's up, guys? It's Brad with College SportsCast, and we're here to do our news and hot topics and segment show that we always like to do on Tuesday nights. Again, I am joined by Mr. Jason Harrison. What's up, Jason?
Man, what's going on, man? How was your weekend, man? This Memorial Day weekend. How was your weekend?
It was good. It was kind of quiet. I kind of kept to myself, So I didn't do a whole lot, to be honest with you. But, it is what it is. And sometimes having a little peace means a lot, too.
Calm and peace is always needed, especially in these days and times. So you got to enjoy yourself. Unfortunately, I was ripping and running in Memphis Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Got my feelings hurt because I thought we was done on Sunday. We had a game Sunday night, and then we had a game Monday at 12:30.
Really?
Yeah. So I was gone the entire Memorial Day weekend until last night when I got home around 4 o'clock. Fortunately, just in Memphis, but hey,
right.
Got a chance to come home and spend a little time with the family and pick life up where it needs to be picked up at.
Well, how'd the tournament go?
That's another story, man. I had a lot of injuries, had guys who didn't make it. We ended up going 2-4, like bad. It was we just lost some games, man. But I'm gonna say we were the Boston Celtics in Game 6 and in Game 7.
Right. Yeah. I got you, man.
Yeah.
The difference between the two games. Yeah, I got you, man.
Yeah.
All right. So welcome to College SportsCast, guys. We're presented by we are sponsored by Bluegrass Breads, which is behind me, which is me, which is where I am. And we've got some Angus beef burgers and ice cream and snow cones. And so check us out. You can Google Bluegrass Breads on use Google and do that. And I'm on Facebook as well. So you can check me out there. All right. So a little bit of news right off the bat. So we have been a part of Let's Talk Sports for a while. Let's Talk Sports is combining or having a merger or joining. I'm not exactly sure how to announce that, but they're now part of Sideline Sports, and they're doing a network together. The two groups are. It's going to be combined by, I think, over 200 sports podcasts and shows. They're putting together a Roku channel, I believe. Will all be featured on there. College SportsCast has been featured on Let's Talk Sports since, I want to say, like last November, something like that. We've been on there a while, and this just happened this past week, so I'm kind of announcing that tonight while we're on. I think I mentioned it at the very end of the show last week on Thursday when we were here, but I want to thank Rob Logan for joining me on Thursday. He filled in, done a great job. It was a fun show to do, so maybe we'll have him on again sometime as a guest. But he was great, so I want to start out tonight's show. I'm going to start out talking about our Linktree page. If I can get this to come up. There it is. All right. So there's our Linktree page. Our Linktree page is where you can find all our platforms and everything that we do. And there is a ton of stuff for you guys to check out, man. I mean, we've got Instagram, we got Facebook, we got YouTube, we got TikTok, we have Tumblr, we have, don't forget, our True Victory, where you can use the code to Fanboys and buy some cool sports gear, is on there. We have a Twitch account. You can find us on Apple, Spotify, and iHeartRadio on audio. There is a ton for you to check out. All you got to do is scan that code to the right of the screen. It'll take you right to our Linktree page. And I wanted to put that out there, trying to advertise our Linktree page. By the way, if you go to our page, please sign up for our email list. Any new updates or news or anything, we would love to have your email and to be able to send you updates on all of our stuff. I am working on something for all of our fans, so I'm hoping to have an update on something new and exciting to be a part of as our fans, and that'll definitely be on our Linktree page. So I'm going to start the show out with that, put that up there. And then while we're talking, we'll go to our Veteran True Victory page. And I'll get that up, and then we'll start the show. This is Memorial Day weekend was just here. This is veteran owned. It's a sportswear company. So please support them, support us. Go there and shop. You can pick up men's, women's accessories. There is some really, really great and cool sportswear gear in this. They have a great message about building champions despite ups and downs and everything else. So check them out. They were started by veterans and first responders. So you can scan that code to the right of the screen. I'm going to leave this up for a while. Use our code to Fanboys for a 15% discount. And I'll leave that up on the screen for a while so you guys can check that out while we're talking. So I'm going to start the show out. Yesterday, the college baseball field of 64 was set yesterday. 2 days ago now, the top 16 teams were selected as host sites, and 8 of those 16 teams are SEC teams, and 4 are ACC. So 12 of the 16 teams are either SEC or ACC.
Are you surprised? You sound a little surprised.
It's not really. I'm not surprised, but
Yeah.
it's a big number, I mean, when you see it, you're like, wow, I mean, the SEC possibly could have had 10, but 8 out of 16, 50% of the regional sites host teams are SEC teams. There are 4 ACC teams in there as well. I'll kind of go through. So the top overall seed is Wake Forest. And then these are out of order. I don't have them in order, but number 1 seeds in there for their host site. The top 16, Alabama.
I got the top 16.
Do you have the order?
Yeah, I got the order. You got 1, which is Wake Forest.
Yeah.
You got 2, which is Florida.
Yeah.
You got Arkansas at 3. You got Clemson at 4. LSU. My guy John will be happy to hear that. LSU is at 5.
Yeah.
Is at 5. Vanderbilt is at 6. Virginia is 7. Stanford is at 8. Coming back up, we have just lost it at 8. You got Miami at 9. You got Coastal Carolina coming in at 10.
Yeah.
Then you have Oklahoma State at 11. You have Kentucky
at 12.
Exactly. You have Auburn at 13.
13.
And
yeah.
you have Indiana State
At 14,
At
yes.
14. In South
Yeah.
Carolina, the last SEC school. No, I'm sorry, not the last SEC, next to last. South Carolina at 15. And coming up the rear is Alabama at 16.
So that's your top 16 teams. Those are your host sites
Mm-hmm.
for the Field of 64. Each host site gets 3 teams added to their region. And so Wake Forest has George Mason, Northeastern, and Maryland added to their region.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama has Nichols, Troy, and Boston College to their region.
Mm-hmm.
Miami has Maine, Louisiana, and Texas to their region. And Stanford has San Jose State, Cal State Fullerton, and Texas A&M in their in their set for the field of 64, and that's one side, one bracket. Then the bottom of the bracket is LSU, and they have Tulane, Sam Houston, and Oregon State. And then Kentucky as a host site, they have Ball State, Indiana, and West Virginia. Then you have Auburn, and they have Penn, Samford, and Southern Miss. And then you have Clemson, who has Lipscomb, Charlotte, and Tennessee, who got a 2 seed in this and did not get a host site. So Tennessee was ranked number 2 in the country preseason. Just so you guys know. So they did not even get a host site. They're going to Clemson. And by the way, if Jay is on with us or watches this show, Clemson's been one of the hottest baseball teams in the country as of late. And they are a top 4. See, they're number 4, I think, Clemson is. So on the other side of the bracket, you have Florida, and they get Florida A&M, Texas Tech, and UConn. Below them is South Carolina. They get Central Connecticut State, North Carolina State, and Campbell. By the way, Campbell is the one team that I'm hearing the most uproar about that should have been in those top 16. They had a really great season, and they're not in that. They're one of the 2 seeds. So then you have Coastal Carolina. They get Rider, UNC Wilmington, and Duke. And then you have Virginia gets Army West Point, Oklahoma, and East Carolina. East Carolina is a pretty good team in there as well. Vanderbilt gets Eastern Illinois, Xavier, and Oregon. Can't count out Oregon. Oklahoma State gets Oral Roberts, Washington, and DBU. Indiana State gets Wright State, North Carolina, and Iowa. And Arkansas gets Santa Clara, Arizona, and TCU. And that is your field of 64 for the baseball. It starts on Friday, June the 2nd. This opening weekend runs from June the 2nd to June 5th. So you have 4 teams that start out, and of course you have one winner that comes out of each of these sets of 4s and goes on to what's called the Super Regional.
There we go.
Yeah, this goes on. So the winner of these sets of 4 basically will go on to what is called the Super Regional. There will be 32 teams left after this weekend. It'll go down, and make sure I tell you why. No, there'll be 16 teams left after this weekend. 1 moves on. That's called the Super Regional. And then you get down to the 8 teams, and the 8 teams is what's considered the College World Series.
Pretty good field.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Kentucky is in the field and a host team. First time they have hosted since 2017, and only the third time ever that Kentucky has been a host team. So I feel like they got a pretty decent draw and bracket. Now, if they win their regional site, they do match up against LSU, which has been the number one team basically all year until the last couple of weeks. So they come in at number 5. So we'll see.
Will you get a chance to go over there and sneak and catch a game if you're able to get away from your busy schedule?
I would love to be honest with you. I would love to. It's the first time they have a brand new ballpark, Kentucky Proud Park.
Yeah.
And it's the first time at their new park that they're getting to, be a host site.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this, and I'm going to put this up on the screen. So they're having a little trouble. So the city didn't plan this out too well. And they are so this is actually happening, okay? So the city didn't plan this out too well, and there's some kind of huge country music festival going on in Lexington this weekend. And apparently none of the teams, even for the players, can find hotels within an hour of Lexington. So Kentucky has actually the kids are out of school, most of them and stuff. So the dorms are sitting empty. So Kentucky is actually opening up their dorms.
That's not a bad idea
for all the teams.
That's not a bad idea. It's not typical, but that's not a bad idea.
So since the teams can't find hotels anywhere near Lexington, so you have Ball State, Indiana, and West Virginia that are coming to town. Their baseball teams and their families and
I just thought about that. Yeah, the families.
Yeah, so you fans and stuff and everything. So it's kind of a big deal. So Kentucky is stepping up for the teams and saying, hey, you can use our dorms. But what about all the fans that want to come in and watch the game and you can't find any hotel rooms?
What about, and I'm playing devil's advocate, Brad, are there any sorority houses, fraternity houses on campus?
Yeah, I'm sure there is a bunch of them, yeah.
Now, I know the Airbnbs are probably sold out everywhere in Kentucky. That's probably going to be the best course of action, doing Airbnbs, because I know we started doing those as well for the AAU teams, put them in house instead of being in a hotel. But I'm pretty sure whoever has Airbnbs, run the price up.
Yeah. No kidding.
Like somebody's going to pay it. Somebody's going to pay double the market price to be at this region. And I can. Listen. I hope you have a good chance. I hope your business booms. I hope it booms because there's going to be some people hungry. Some hungry people.
Yeah. Yeah. This is true. Yeah. This is true. Yep. Absolutely. All right, so I hope we made John Roberts proud. We at least talked about baseball. And on top of this, I want to throw this in before we move on to something else. Auburn made a hell of a push at the end of the season. After halfway through, they play 30 games in the SEC. Halfway through, Auburn only had 6 wins. And I think they wound up tied with Kentucky at 16. I'm pretty sure. So they had a heck of a second half of the season, second half of the SEC season. It was a little more than half before they really turned it around overall. But the second half of the SEC season, they really started coming together and playing well, and they got a 13th seed out of it. So, or the 13th region out of it. Kentucky's 12, they're 13. I want to give John a little bit of props that Auburn put together a good second half and made a run, and now they get to host a region. And to be quite honest with you, I think they can come out of that region side. I mean, they got Penn, Samford, and Southern Miss. I mean,
If he was on the show, he would be talking about
oh yeah,
the Alabamas. Auburn is there. Samford is there.
yeah,
Even Tuscaloosa. We have 3 teams from the state of Alabama
yeah,
in the field of 64.
yeah,
It's going to be rocking. It's going to be rocking.
yeah. Excuse me. It's going to be fun. I look forward to it this weekend. I'm definitely going to be paying attention to Kentucky's region. I'm hoping they will come out of there and have a chance against LSU because I feel like LSU is probably going to win there. So, excuse me. All right. So I want to now move to NBA college. The college return deadline is tomorrow.
Mm. Mm.
All right.
Big decisions.
So
big decisions.
You have to come back by midnight Eastern time tomorrow, May 31st.
Mm.
So there is a lot of decisions that are being made. I noticed a lot today that have come out. So I want to run through some of these with you guys, just to throw some out. There are some that are big names. There are some that are mid names. So we're going to kind of run through the ones that I have here. And Jason, you can stop me and chime in on whichever one you want to. But there's some bigger names, and then there's not. So you know what I'm saying. So
exactly.
Akron's Enrique Freeman is going to withdraw from the draft and return to school for Akron. And he announced today.
Good
Tyron Lawrence, who has played the last 3 seasons at Vanderbilt, is withdrawing his name and is going to return to school, but he is in the transfer portal.
Gotcha.
So we do not know where he is going to play next season, but he is withdrawing his name from the NBA draft.
Okay.
Arizona State's Marcus Bagley plans to stay in the draft. That one was a little bit of a surprise. New Hampshire's Clarence Daniels tells me that he's going to withdraw, and by me, I'm running through John Rothstein here. So is who I'm running through. He made a whole list today of tweets. So if you want to run through John Rothstein, Stein, I'm not sure how he pronounces it, but he is a big college basketball dude. So anyway. Clarence Daniels, New Hampshire, is returning to school, withdrawing from the NBA draft. San Diego State's Jaden Ledee is withdrawing from the 2023 NBA draft and returning to school per his Instagram.
That is big. That's a big one right there.
That's significant Mountain West news right there. Sources are saying that Villanova has emerged as a strong potential destination for Richmond transfer Tyler Burton. Burton is also an early entrant for the NBA draft, but now they are expecting him to return. Averaged 19 points a game, 7.4 rebounds last season for Richmond. Kim English, the new coach at Providence, said today on College Hoops Today podcast that he plans on having Bryce Hopkins be a much more of a three-point shooter this coming year. So that's a little bit of news. Grant Nelson
Ding, 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 ding.
withdrawing from the 2023 NBA draft and will return to a school. Grant Nelson averaged almost 18 points and 9.3 rebounds last year for North Dakota State and is in the transfer portal and a big time kid. Okay.
And he put Portal Combat, which his phone line, as soon as he announced that, probably has been getting ding, ding, calls out the wazoo. That kid can really play. Surprised he stayed in. I'm surprised he went. I'm sorry, surprised
that he's coming back.
Surprised
he so he's withdrawing from the NBA draft.
Man.
All right, so this next one is not an NBA draft decision, but I was kind of going to try to get to this in a little bit later, but I'll go ahead while I'm running through it. Mm-hmm. Tommy Lloyd, the Arizona coach, is making a lot of noise today. He's already landed Jaden Bradley from Alabama, the guard, the transfer, and he landed Keishad Johnson from San Diego State. Today, Caleb Love from North Carolina announces his transfer to Arizona to play with those two players transfers for Tommy Lloyd at Arizona. So look for Arizona to be a really, really strong team next year.
That'll be pretty good.
Caleb Love is from North Carolina. He was a guard on that team, transferred to Michigan, backed out of that commitment because I hear it had to do with credit transfer issues is what I hear it had to do with. I'm not real sure, but
that's what I heard as well. That's what I heard. I heard some of this.
That's what I heard, that it had to do with credit transfer issues, that he wasn't going to be considered whatever grade he's a senior or whatever, he's been there a few years at North Carolina, 2 at least, maybe 3, I can't remember. But anyway, that's a big time news. So Arizona's potential starting 5 is Jaden Bradley, Caleb Love, Pele Larson, Keishad Johnson, and Ballo as the big guy. I'm telling you, look out for Arizona next year in college basketball world. Here's another big name. Alabama's Mark Sears has withdrawn from the 2023 NBA draft and will return to Alabama. Per his Twitter page, Pitt's Blake Henson has withdrawn from the draft and returned to school. That's it says significant ACC news for Pitt there. LSU Will Baker will withdraw from the draft and return to school. He is a transfer from Nevada. Tulane's Jalen Forbes and Kevin Cross are both withdrawing from the draft and return to school. Here's another pretty big name. Houston's LJ Cryer plans to withdraw from the draft and return to school. Here's another one that's in the transfer portal, by the way, that is not picked to school. R.J. Dennis is withdrawing from the 2023 draft after doing a workout today with the Milwaukee Bucks. He's transferring from Toledo and is not picked to school yet. Here's a pretty big one for you guys.
Hence why I'm wearing the shirt.
Yeah. Ole Miss. You guys is Ole Miss. He played at Ole Miss. So, all right. Ole Miss, Matthew Murrell is withdrawing from the draft and will return to school for next season. That's a pretty big.
That's big, and we
That's big.
also
That's big for Ole Miss. Big for.
and we also received Alan Flanagan from Auburn.
Oh, really?
He has committed to Ole Miss. Hence why I'm wearing the Ole Miss shirt today.
Hey, and he's got some recruits and stuff in too. So he's doing a great job down there so far.
He's revamped the roster so far, and we just got a commitment from a kid that's going to overtime elite who will be there next year. So things are trending up in Oxford the only way they can because we were down.
Yep, absolutely. And Chris Beard's doing a great job so far. So got to give him some props on that. Ohio State's Justice Suing is staying in the draft.
Yeah.
By the way, per his agent Scott Nichols.
Shout out to Kevin Cross too. Kevin Cross, the kid who ended up going back to Tulane. He's a Little Rock kid. I played ball with his dad in high school. Saw that young man grow up, mature, get his body together. Really took it seriously, and he put his name in, but he's going back, looking for him to have a big year. So shout out to who we call Junior, Kevin Cross Jr. Shout out to Kevin Cross.
All right. Another one, Gonzaga's Steel Venters is planning on withdrawing from the draft. He actually played at Eastern Washington last year in his transfer.
Mm-hmm.
Georgia's Terry Roberts will not use his COVID year and is staying in the NBA draft. I don't know if you guys remember Terry Roberts, but he tore Kentucky up a couple of times, even though Kentucky won games. But, man, that kid can play. I just want to say so that was one Georgia lost. Russell Shewa has withdrawn from the 2023 draft and will return to school. He's going to Georgia. He's a transfer from South Florida.
Shout out to Michael White, my former teammate at Ole Miss, head coach. Way to get him back.
All right. So running through this. Oh, yeah. I do want to say the last one is Auburn's Johnny Broome announced that he is coming back and withdrawing from the draft. So that's a pretty big name in the SEC. So that's a big time get to get him back for the 2023-2024 season for next season.
Yeah. That was big. It's big for Auburn.
Yeah, absolutely. Ryan Kalkbrenner is returning to Creighton, which is a big-time get. If they could also get Trey Alexander back, Creighton will still be a really, really good Big East team next year.
I'm waiting on that one. Trey Alexander, got a chance to coach him up during the COVID year. He played with me in a couple tournaments. I actually talked to an NBA scout about. Had a conversation about him. Saw his dad over the weekend, and I knew they had to get ready to be making decisions. So I think if he doesn't, hear what he wants to hear, I think he'll be back at Creighton, looking to have a breakout junior year.
Yeah, Trey Alexander should actually probably come back. He's actually those two on the show I did last Thursday with Rob Logan. Mm-hmm. We did a show where one of the topics that we did was the 13 or 14 top NBA college decisions to stay or go that will affect the college basketball season next year. And those two were on that list. Two of the names that we're talking about.
You're right.
So one of them, Ryan, has already announced that he's coming back. So now we are paying attention to Trey Alexander and see if he's going to come back as well. John Roberts is on with us. What's up, John?
Yo, what's up, John?
What's up, man? Yeah, so I went ahead while we were kind of running through that and talked about Caleb Love going to Arizona. That is a huge, huge get for them. Like I said, look for Arizona to be, again, top-notch in the Pac-12 out there next year. They usually are, but Tommy Lloyd is probably not getting as much credit as he deserves. He's doing a fantastic job out there. He's now lined up 3 of the top transfers. Caleb Love is considered the number 1 overall transfer. Now, I don't make the list and I don't make the rules and I don't know, it's bigger than Hunter Dickinson or whatever. I'm not saying that he is or not, but you're talking about 3 kids who are top of the list. I'm not saying they're all 3 at the top, but top 10, 15 transfers on the list are going to Arizona. When you got Jaden Bradley, Keyshawn Johnson, and now Caleb Love going to Arizona.
Yeah, significant gets out the portal for Arizona, man. Like I look for them to be, right in the mix again. Right in the mix again, man. He always keeps a good team. And that's great guard play that he just picked up. Very experienced. You cannot recruit any high school kids that will come in.
They give you the experience like what they're getting there with them 3 kids.
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to say, so Mark Sears coming back to Alabama, you put him with the kid that transferred from Texas, the guard, not from Texas, from Houston. I said Texas.
You were talking about the kid Ontario. Ontario is going to Kansas.
No, the kid, he was come off the bench for Houston, played behind. He was about the 3rd guard, played behind. I can't think of what his darn name is. I can't think of his name. Anyway, he transferred to Alabama. You put Sears with this kid that I'm talking about, I'm telling you, they're going to have a stellar backcourt, and that's with losing Jaden Bradley as a transfer that's going to Arizona that we were just talking about.
I was shocked by that.
John, if you can join us Thursday, I'd appreciate it, man. Jason's probably going to be busy, so I'd appreciate it. We'll get something lined up if you can.
John.
Yeah, John hadn't been on for a couple of weeks. He's pulling some overtime and doing some heavy stuff with work, just like a heavy load on him with work and stuff. So he hadn't been on for a couple of weeks, but you'll be happy to know, John, that we opened the show with the Field of 64 baseball, just so you know. So you're going to have to go back and watch because we already hit all that. But you're going to have to go back. We at least hit on it, talked about it, opened the show with it. So you should be proud. Like, you really should be proud.
And he is. He got Auburn, Stanford, and Alabama right there. I know he's not much an Alabama guy, but Auburn, yes, more definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, so my next thing we're going to do is I'm going to get off here and take off the True Victory for just a few minutes, and we are going to let Fresh talk about the Real Channel. I'm going to let him get this up on the screen for you guys, and we are featured on Sundays when we do a Sunday night show. there's been some holidays and things. This past weekend was Memorial Day, and we've had Mother's Day, and we've had Easter and Father's Day's coming up, and so we haven't been doing as many Sunday nights. But when we do, we are featured on Sunday nights on Howie's the Real Fresh channel, and I'll let him speak and tell you a little bit about the Real Fresh channel.
Hey, I am Hal Fresh here to tell you about the Real Fresh channel. That's right, youtube.com/the Real Fresh channel. We are a network aiming to bringing you various content each and every day, different types of podcasts, different type of content. Anything from college SportsCast and fresh takes for some sports. We also got You Want to Do What? We got the Wrestling Corner. We got live stream. Just go over to youtube.com/the Real Fresh channel and hit us up today. Thank you for checking it out. Appreciate your time.
It's real fresh.
All right, guys. So that was Howie with the Real Fresh channel. Howie Fresh, to be honest with you. And he is part of the Fanboys. He's also part of Let's Talk Sports and the merger with Sideline Sports as well. So he is a definite friend of the show, and we try to announce and hit him up whenever we can. Try to get him on the show there with his channel that he tries to promote. So we appreciate that. All right, so we're going to kind of start going towards some football stuff. And start with some news. So Iowa's longtime AD Barta announced today his retirement. Now, it's not immediate or nothing, and I didn't check out the full story. I'm not exactly sure when he is scheduled to retire yet, but it is kind of significant news for the Iowa AD. So Iowa has a longtime head coach, football coach there with Ferentz, and they have a spectacular and great girls team that got all the way to the finals and lost to LSU.
We'll
and got one of the
Final Four. We'll be back in the Final Four.
And got one of the best girls in the country there playing with them. And then, you've got the boys men's basketball team that is usually a pretty good team in Iowa. So, their AD announcing his retirement is a pretty big deal, and I thought we would at least talk about that on the show and see what you think about it, Jason. I know that that kind of stuff can affect a university or a team. Iowa's a little different. They're close-knit. I mean, I don't know. They'll probably have somebody that's been behind him for a long time to fill in, and they probably won't miss a beat. What do you think?
I think that's the consensus. All parties, especially everybody in the academic world, they will want someone who knows the community and who has been a part of that community. Because if you bring in someone who's actually not from there, each AD who comes into a new situation, they want to get their guys. They're going to look at who's been winning, who's been successful, and where they're losing money at, and who needs to go. And so you would hope, and I know everybody down that way is probably hoping someone, probably the assistant AD or someone like that, will be able to step up and take over the job. Someone who knows the day-to-day operations around that campus and that community. So, yeah, that is significant news. When you have a long-time person who's been in a position like that. But most of the time, Brad, there's always talk about his successor. And I don't know if he, because I don't know the reason. Do you know the reason behind his retirement? Did it say, or he?
No, I really didn't. I kind of just seen it at the very end when I was putting some of this together, and I thought it's significant enough news to at least announce it while we were talking about the news tonight. But if you want to click the story, I was kind of throwing this together the last 10 or 15 minutes, Jason.
Don't
But,
worry.
you know,
Hey, I'm gonna look at it because it's right there.
I'm sure it's in the top paragraph of the story.
I'm sure if I'm trying to find it. But yeah, man, that's very significant, man, for an AD to retire.
Especially for Iowa. I mean, they're a very close-knit family, and he's a long-term AD. Been there a long time. I'm pretty sure that Ferentz is the longest tenured head coach in college football. I'm pretty sure. Last year, this coming year will be 25.
He was at Atlanta for 17 years, making him the second longest tenured AD in the Big Ten. He played a role in the college football committee. That's what I thought. It didn't come suddenly, nor did it come without significant thought. Like he said, because I always want to be done at the right time for me and my family. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
I'm sure there's probably somebody behind him that's been training and been there and, knows the ins and outs of everything.
Well, additionally, and I'm not going to just say that high off the field. Barter's Tenters has featured multiple high-profile lawsuits. We say I will pay out more than $10 million in 2017. That includes settlement of $4 million for a group of African American football players who sued for discrimination. There was $6.5 payout in 2017 for the fine of the field hockey coach. A former senior director also won $1.5 million in damages and discrimination lawsuits. So then they also announced this month that it's fully cooperating with a sports wagering investigation at the school. Has received about 111 individuals, although only 26 are current athletes. So it's not come as much of a surprise within the college athletic industry, because in September 2022, the school hired Bev Gortez, who was the sitting as the director at Ball State. So, yeah, director they hired. Yep. So when he was, I think they already have somebody in place. Yeah, they probably already have somebody in place. So it's probably like I said, reading that article, what I got from it, that some things that transpired, and it's not a surprise, but I think he just, before things hit the fan, and I hope they don't.
Right.
If something hits the fan, he probably just wants to get out the way, and so
yeah,
a new regime can come in and keep things going.
That's fair. I just saw it as I was putting together a few things here, and thought we'd put it on the show. Now, I do know a little bit about this. I actually wrote a Stadium Rant article on this week. Check it out. I think it was posted on Thursday, and about the SEC spring meetings. They're actually coming up this week. As of yesterday, Greg Sankey even come out and said that he is in hopes to get a college football schedule resolution for the SEC set for 2024 and beyond. My article is actually entitled, "Will the SEC keep an 8-game schedule?" So check it out. I'm not going to give everything away because I want you to go there and click and read my article. Again, it's on Stadium Rant. But I will say this. So there seems to be – let me put it this way. Pretty much the last year, it's pretty much been a foregone conclusion that the SEC was going to go to a 9-game schedule when Oklahoma and Texas joins in 2024. There has been 2 schedule formats that have been talked about. One is an 8-game schedule, one is a 9. But almost everybody has been under the thought that it would go to a 9-game schedule. However, right before all these meetings are coming in to take place in Miramar, Florida, this coming week. So there is significant rumors, I guess you could say, that there are several teams who are against the 9-game schedule and that the 9-game schedule is losing steam and that they may actually keep an 8-game schedule. They are in hopes to have a vote on this week. They're there for 2 or 3 days, and I think they may even vote on this twice if they need to. But they are in hopes to get this ironed out. Texas and Oklahoma join July 1st in 2024. That is a year and a month away. And the SEC usually puts out the next season's schedule by October. And as of right now, they don't even know if they're going to have – they can't put out a schedule because there's been no resolution on what the schedule is actually going to look like.
Well, that's something else right there.
So it is pretty significant news that the SEC needs to work this out.
They got to work it out. They got to work it out, man.
Like I said, I don't want – so there is at least 6 teams that support a 9-game schedule. There is at least 5 teams that support an 8-game schedule. Okay? So that's 11 of the 14. And the vote has to at least be a majority. So you have to get 8 out of the 14.
Man.
Texas and Oklahoma do not get to vote because they are not official members until July 1st, 2024. So they do not get to vote. So there's 14 teams that are voting. Now, from what I hear, there are 3 teams on the fence, one that has not given an indication either way, but that team is Vanderbilt, and it's very hard for me to imagine that Vanderbilt wants a 9-game schedule. Okay? Let's just be honest.
Well, you never know, man. Hey, Vanderbilt might think this their year. This is their chance.
I mean, it's just hard for me to imagine that Vanderbilt wants a 9-game schedule when they already play an 8 in the SEC, and it's Vanderbilt. I mean, come on. They're dogs in every game.
Hey.
And you know that.
Yeah, you're right. But hey,
they're underdogs, and by dogs, I mean underdogs. They're underdogs in every game.
I'm gonna say this, and you're probably gonna laugh. Jerry Stackhouse has revived the Vanderbilt athletic.
Okay.
The athletics.
The whole athletic. Hey, Vanderbilt did just win the baseball conference championship.
Hey, baseball, basketball, football.
I mean, so maybe they're gonna shock the world and win the SEC in football.
Now, I'm not gonna go that far, but I'm gonna say that they might have a winning record.
All right. Okay.
If Vanderbilt has a winning record, that is the coach of the year. Doesn't matter. All
right. So then the other teams, there are 3 teams that are supposed to be on the fence. That is, like I said, I'll let you try to read my article and get some of this information, but there are 3 teams supposed to be on the fence. And then there is one team, and it happens to be the head dog right now of the SEC, and that's Georgia, that wants to know, and it's a legit question. They want to know, is the TV rights contract going to be renegotiated to add money to be split to add a ninth and extra week of SEC heavy big hit games. And it's actually right. So the contract was negotiated for 8-game seasons. And if you start adding a ninth game in and you generating whatever, $100 million more dollars, $50 million more dollars because you're adding an extra SEC week of football. That's 8 extra games, by the way, that are on networks and making money. All the games will be making money. Georgia wants to know, hey, if we're going to go to 9 games, we need a piece of the pie. It should be split just like all the rest of the games. What do you think of that?
I think they got a point. I mean, they've been doing revenue sharing forever.
Yeah.
I can understand that, but man, it's a lot of money involved, Brad. It's a lot of money involved.
There is. I mean, SEC football is a huge deal. I mean, you add 8 games in 1 week to the schedule, and you're adding millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's generated because you know how it is. An SEC football game in your town,
Yeah,
generates money. Everybody is successful.
they're all on national TV.
Yep.
So they're all getting the TV rights and the commercial money and everything else. They're all getting that stuff, and viewership is out the what, and then you get the home crowd, the crowds that are there and the money that's brought in for that and everything else. I mean, so it's significant. I mean, it's significant money.
Yeah.
So Georgia wants to know, hey, if we're going to 9 games, we need to have a piece of the pie.
You're right. You're right about that.
They've been doing revenue sharing for years and years and years. They were probably doing it when you were there.
Man, it's
yeah.
Very, but not to the magnitude that it's been since the SEC network has launched its whole network. But yeah, it's
yeah. Yeah, and it was launched. Gosh, was it launched like in 2008 or something now?
I don't know.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but yeah, it's very significant.
Yeah. So, anyways, check out my article. Again, I'll give it a little hit, Stadium Rant. Check it out. And it's, again, on whether or not the SEC is going to keep an 8-game schedule or not, which is a little surprising. And most people probably thought they were going to 9. Not so fast, my friends.
Not so fast, my friend.
Not so fast, my friends. Who says that?
That's Lee Corso. Not so fast.
Exactly. See, college football. I had to throw that in there. Not so fast.
Hey, not so fast.
All right. Just to have a little fun with y'all.
Got to.
Had to throw that in there. All right. So I'm going to put up our official merchandise page. And I haven't put that up yet tonight. So I'm going to get that up on the screen while we kind of finish up some of this stuff here tonight. Again, it's a QR code that you can scan, and you can go to our official merchandise page and get our custom art logo, and you can get it on shirts. You can also get College SportsCast basketball, football, baseball, softball, volleyball, soccer. We have a shirt for just about every league, and you can check it out. We also have a couple of coffee mugs there. Again, use the QR code while you're watching with us, guys. Use our code WatchCSCast for a 15% discount. And we would appreciate you guys jumping on board and checking us out there on our official merch page. All right. So the last little bit of college football stuff that before we get to our segment that I was going to do is June is an absolute monster, huge month in recruiting. So we've been through a dead period since the end of April, 1st of May, and there's really been no off-campus recruiting. But starting this weekend, for the next 4 solid weekends in June, official visits start in college football. And any and all these teams are going to be, trying to set up as many big-time visits as they can get, and try to, this is the summer visits here are the peak of getting commitments in the fall. So they come to big visits here most of the time, okay? And then they come to games early in the fall. You start getting them to some home games in September and October. And if they like their visit here in the summer and come to a game, then they usually start making decisions in September, October after coming to games. And you start seeing some fall commitments. So this is a huge time of year for all college football. Kentucky's got some stellar visits lined up. I'm kind of excited about it. They are Kentucky football. I just want to say this. Mark Stoops has absolutely changed the game for Kentucky football. So I was talking to a North Carolina State fan. And, North Carolina State has been pretty significant in the ACC the last 5, 6, 8 years. And they probably averaged 7.5 wins or something over the last 5, 6, 7, 8 years in the ACC. But he told me, he said, Brad, Kentucky is head and shoulders above what North Carolina State is recruiting right now. He said that the type of talent and the players that Kentucky is recruiting and going up against, that North Carolina State's just not in that echelon yet. Kentucky's recruiting with the big dogs, guys. I'm telling you, they're recruiting with the Alabamas and the Clemson against the Michigans so they've got a kid from Alabama, all right, that's an offensive lineman that is like 6'7" and is like 330 and is a massive human being that is extremely gifted and talented kid from Alabama that is coming on an official visit either this weekend or next weekend. I can't remember exactly which one he is. But again, they are competing with the big dogs and getting visits. So you only get 5, all right? So if you're from Alabama and you're lining up, and you're going to Alabama and you're going to whatever, Texas A&M, and you're going to Auburn, and then you say, out of my 5, I'm going to Kentucky. I'm telling you guys, that shit's it's not only exciting, it's significant.
Yeah.
It really is.
So basically, what are you saying? That you've never seen the level of recruiting for Kentucky football that Stoops has been able to start up and really ignite.
Not really, man. I've been following. I'll tell my age. I'm 48, and I've been following Kentucky football since the very early 80s, 82, 83, pretty heavy most of my life. And, we've had some stints where, hey, we get a Kentucky 5-star kid here. We got Dennis Johnson. We got Tim Couch. We got Jared Lorenzen. You know what I mean? But they were all Kentucky kids. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like they were all Kentucky kids. And they were 5-star kids and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. But the level, so we're also going head to head against Michigan. We're going head to head against Clemson. We're going head to head with Ohio State. We're going head to head with Alabama and getting official visits. I just wanted to bring it up. It's absolutely significant, and I'm excited to see what happens. We got a top 3, depending on which recruiting service that you pay attention to. But he's either 2, 3, or 6, okay, in the country as a QB that has committed and is coming to Kentucky. And every school in the country was after him. Now, I will say this. He is another Kentucky kid, okay? So that one, a commitment, is not as big as some of these kids that are coming on visits this time. But even if you are a Kentucky kid and Alabama comes calling and Michigan comes calling and Clemson comes calling, a lot of times those kids wind up going to those bigger schools anymore.
Well, the crazy thing is now, Brad, with the significance of the SEC, it really, and I had to say that unless you're Vanderbilt, it really doesn't matter where you're going. You probably want to go where you're going to play right away. You want to get on the field. And you want to. And
Kentucky can do that.
You want to get your 3 years.
Yep.
You
look at Dion. You look at Deion Walker, who come in last year, humongous, massive human being, 6'6", 350 pounds, defensive lineman that might have had the best pure freshman season that Kentucky's ever had. Okay, I'm not talking about a redshirt freshman. I'm talking about like he came in as a pure freshman and played significant. Started 11 games out of 13. Is going to be a star, absolute star. You got Dane Key. You got Barry and Brown that come in last year, 4-star wide receivers. Guess what they did? They didn't redshirt. They had 50-plus catches as a true freshman. So you're right on that.
Yeah,
that these kids can come in. If you've got talent, you can come in and play immediately. You ain't sitting on the bench for 2 years like you are at Alabama.
Yeah, or redshirting and then just playing 2 years. You want to get now. Sometimes a significant red shirt can help because it counts as that year or whatnot. So
Yep. I just wanted to bring it up. So, anyways, we'll move on to our last subtopic of the night. So I had found an article this week that lists. Actually, this article lists the top 100 players for college football. But for the significance of the show, I didn't want to sit here, for the entirety of the show and go through a top 100 list. I thought it would kind of be a little much to go through a top 100 list.
Yeah.
But top 20, I thought we could make that a little interesting and talk about the top 20.
We can do that. That's something we definitely can do.
Yeah, that's listed here for college football for 2023. This is for the upcoming season. This is an On3 article, and the article come out May 20th. So it is 10 days old.
Mhm.
And like I said, this is an On3 article. I'm trying to see if I can. Nick Schultz is the author of this article. All right. So the top 20 kids listed are players listed for college football. I'm going to start at number 20. Number 20 is a edge from Washington, Braylon Trice. Edge rusher from Washington is listed at number 20 for the 2023 season. Want to get that out there. We'll run through the top, these 16 through 20 here, and then we'll do a little talk about them. So number 19 is an edge as well, rusher from UCLA, Lado is his last name. Leatu Lado, I think is how you pronounce his name. But he's an edge rusher, UCLA. So number 19 and number 20 are both edge rushers from the Pac-12, by the way.
Wow.
Number 18 is Dwayne Carter from Duke. Number 17 is Jerzon Newton from Illinois. Number 16 is Abdul Carter, linebacker from Penn State. And Penn State has 3 of the top 20 players, by the way, listed on this article. I have heard by several people talking about Penn State that they expect Penn State to challenge, at least give a challenge to Michigan and Ohio State as this year. They think that Penn State is going to be that good. So we've got defensive players basically listed 16 through 20. 2 from Big Ten, 1 from the ACC, and 2 from the Pac-12. Then the top 15 gets a little interesting.
Why would you say that?
Because these are some big-time players. Now, the top 15 gets a little interesting, if you ask me. You're going to know number 15.
Uh-oh.
Quinshawn Judkins. You know him?
No, the name sounds familiar. Junkin. He's running back from Ole Miss.
Running back from Ole Miss.
Yeah, I like that name. Sound real familiar. Like, yeah.
Number 15 in all of college football. He was a true freshman last year, I'm pretty sure, by the way.
He was.
So he's listed as the number 15 player after his true freshman season in all of college football. So that's pretty significant. He is listed as the second best running back in all of college football.
I know he hates that he's just a sophomore. See, I feel like if you have 2 great years in college football, you should be in the league. You know, I think,
he's got 2 years to stick it out. So hopefully he doesn't get hurt.
I know he's taking out an insurance policy, I would imagine. Taking out that insurance policy.
Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of, so number 14 is the other running back, and that's Blake Corum, running back from Michigan, and he actually got hurt towards the end of the season last year.
Yeah, that hurt them.
And missed the last
4 games, I think.
2 games at least.
Yeah, it was the last 2 games. You're right.
I believe it was the last 2 games, I believe, which they wound up winning the Big Ten championships without him.
Mm-hmm.
But then, of course, losing to TCU in the playoffs without him. So hopefully he'll be back and he'll be healthy this year. But Blake Corum he was the best running back in the game last year. He is coming back. I really think as far as yards and numbers and all that kind of stuff, he was the leader. Now, I know that there was a couple of them drafted that, people probably are going to say was a little bit better NFL prospect.
No doubt.
But I'm just talking about as a college football player is what I'm talking about.
No doubt. No doubt. No doubt.
All right, number 13. Oh, John Roberts is going to think this one's interesting. Number 13 is Bo Nix.
Whoa, Bo Nix.
Quarterback for Oregon. Yes, transfer from Auburn. He's played 1 season in Oregon and is back for, I'm pretty sure this has got to be his COVID year.
His 5th year? Or was his,
yeah.
I'm going to say his 6th year. Probably his 5th year.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be his final COVID year, I would think.
Gotcha.
Would be my guess. But Bo Nix is listed as the 13th best player in college football next year.
Hey. Wow.
Number 12 is Graham Barton, an offensive tackle from Duke. So
wow.
Number 11 is Michael Penix Jr., quarterback from Washington.
Interesting.
I'm telling you, watch out for the Washington Huskies next year. Like I think they can challenge for the Pac-12. I really do. Michael Penix Jr. is a transfer. This will be his 2nd year out there. He actually led the Pac-12, and I'm saying this loudly because there was a couple of guys on our show that was making fun of Michael Penix Jr., and we were talking about him being the top quarterback in the Pac-12 one night, and everybody was like, oh, it's Caleb Williams and blah, 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 and they were having a shit fit because I said, and he actually led the Pac-12 in yards last year. By the way, Michael Penix Jr. transfer from Indiana in his 2nd year out at Washington. All right, number 10, Kalen King, a cornerback from Penn State. That's the 2nd Penn State guy that was listed on this list, by the way. Number 9 is the name. The name says it all. I mean, sometimes you got to have just a catchy name. I mean, you can't get much catchier than this. Kool-Aid McKinstry. His name is actually Kool-Aid, guys. I mean, I'm not making this up. He plays at Alabama. He's a cornerback. I'm not making this up. I promise. I mean, can't you just see the Kool-Aid guy coming?
Kool-Aid. Yeah, Kool-Aid. Yes. Hell of a name.
I'm old. Y'all probably don't even remember the Kool-Aid guy.
Yeah.
All right. Number 8 is Joe Alt, offensive tackle from Notre Dame. Listed as number 8. Number 7, I'm sorry, is a Penn State offensive tackle. Fashanu.
Whoa.
Is his last name O-L-U? First name. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce that. Olu? Number 6 is Harold Perkins, linebacker from LSU.
Okay.
All right. Then you get number 5. Number 5 is Jared Verse, defensive edge from Florida State.
Mm.
Number 4, and you were talking about Judkins. Too bad he's a sophomore. This is a guy that was in that same situation.
Mm.
And this is his 3rd year coming up.
He's ready. I'm more. He's ready.
Brock Bowers, tight end. Brock Bowers, tight end from Georgia, is listed number 4, guys.
I know that name. That name.
Yeah, and I'm going to be honest with you. He's one of those guys, came in as a true freshman, had a stellar freshman season. They won 2 titles now. Of course, Georgia has back-to-back. But so I'm telling you right now, Brock Bowers is one of them guys you were talking about. If you have 2 significant years, you ought to be able to go. He's had to stay healthy. And then, and he's got 1 more year to go through, and he will definitely be playing on Sundays. Number 3 is another guy that's in that situation, and his name is Marvin Harrison Jr.
At number 3?
Yeah. They have him listed as number 3.
He got to be top 2. I know Caleb Williams is probably number 1 and something, but Marvin
Harrison Jr. is listed at number 3. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. I know everybody's going to say that Caleb Williams is the shoe-in at number 1 next year. I know he's a wide receiver, and I know that's not a position that is normally picked number 1, okay?
Keyshawn Johnson. Get it. I hadn't seen it since Keyshawn Johnson.
I know that's not a position that's not picked number 1, okay? It's just not. But damn, Marvin Harrison Jr. is a ball player, guys, and he's a game changer. I think he's head and shoulders above the first-round guys that were picked this year.
I think that with the production and the immediate impact of 2 wide receivers, he might be the number 1 overall pick. And I'm talking about Justin Jefferson and my guy Chase.
Man,
what's my guy? What's his name?
Justin? Is it Justin?
No, the wide receiver from
Chase is his last name.
From Cincinnati Bengals. I just went blank, but yeah. With those, and he went 5. So imagine rethinking that draft. He could have easily.
I'm telling you, and I'm not a draft expert and all that kind of stuff, but Marvin Harrison Jr., they got him listed at 3. I'm saying he's higher than that. The top 2 are quarterbacks. Surprise, surprise. Number 2 is Drake May, quarterback from North Carolina. And number 1 is not a big surprise. It's Caleb Williams, quarterback from USC. He's the Heisman Trophy winner last year. But I'm going to go ahead and say number 3 and number 4
could be the top 2 picks in the NFL draft.
I think they could be the top 2 players coming out of that draft.
Well, and I'm going to say this. If the quarterbacks this year are not very significant and they don't make leaps and bounds, I can see, because like you said, 3 of them went in the first 3 picks. I could see the shift to, well, you know what? Let me get someone that my quarterback that I have now can actually throw to that could be a game changer. And the tight end position and wide receiver position is a very important position.
I mean, y'all remember when Randy Moss came in the league?
The only reason why Randy Moss was not the number 1 draft pick because he had as many red flags as on a golf course. That was the only reason.
That's so true.
That was the only reason.
Straight cash, homie.
You talking about a young man who committed to Notre Dame and went to here. I mean, could have went anywhere. Went home and went to Marshall.
I know.
It was a finalist for the Heisman.
Yep.
You see what I'm saying? So yeah, man, look.
I'm just saying, look at the impact that Randy, that Randy had in his first year.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I was saying.
I see John Roberts said, "Hey, like you said, Bo Nix."
That's the joke that he said on Bo Nix. Yeah, they've been saying it every year. This might be the 6th year now that they're saying this.
This is the
same
year.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 13, John. He's listed number 13 on this list. That's all I'm saying.
Man.
Mr. Bo Nix himself.
Man. I'm gonna call him Mr. Eligibility.
But I am seriously on this list going to say I think number 3 and number 4 could very easily be the top 2 players that come out of this draft next year. Especially offensive players. If you're talking about impact offensive players,
it might be offensive lineman because the run on quarterback. He said Kool-Aid was a commit to AU, was probably a solid commit to Bama. Yeah, man. it might be an offensive tackle. You remember the years in which an offensive tackle?
Y'all have no idea how bad I want to do the Kool-Aid. You have no idea.
Gonna break through a wall. You gonna break through a wall?
Yeah, I want to so bad.
Yeah.
If I had that name, I'd be doing that everywhere I go. I would. I ain't even playing. I don't care if I was 6 foot and 165 pounds because he's a cornerback. Okay. So he's not probably, we're probably not talking about a kid that's 6'5" and 285 pounds or nothing. He's a cornerback. But if I had that name, I'm telling you right now, I'd be breaking. I'd have me an entrance. No doubt. I'm not even playing. And if you don't know the Kool-Aid entrance, go look it up. Maybe I'll break it out next show.
Maybe.
All right, guys. So I appreciate everybody being on with us. We are College SportsCast. We are on WSBN TV. Check us out there. You can find us by downloading the BoxCast app. And once you download the app, you can find us on